foie gras?
Non, non.
Non?
Moi, je n'ai pas tout mangé quand même. J'ai eu un tout petit peu de caractère.
Le meilleur repas depuis quelques mois.
Oui.
Un repas formidable.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah.
I wanted always to know Ispahan. It was my dream, and here we are. Oh, this is absolutely the scenery of Boris Godunov. Chalyapin, the great Russian basso, never really studied singing. That was extraordinary. He just sang as he spoke.
Combat. J'ai pour sommeil la fatigue.
But you know, the Italian singers like Caruso, Battistini, for instance, they talk to you, "Good morning, sir, how are you?" And then, that was so funny. Chalyapin, quite different. He said, "Good morning, this is nice day today, and I was very..." That was really marvelous. It was so alive, it was so natural and vivid.
Mon chanteur, c'est moi qui t'arrêterai.
Il chantait là-dedans, et son mécanicien était derrière lui. Il les tenait par la tête. Alors quand il chantait quelque chose de très fort, celui-là le tirait par les cheveux en arrière, parce que ça ne donnait pas. Alors après, il s'approchait. C'était comme ça. But I must tell you a very funny story, you know. A conductor, a Finnish conductor called Schneevogt, had his first concert with me also in my debut in Sydney, in Australia. And we had quite a good success, both of us. So he was in a very good humor. He said, "Tomorrow, I force you, you must come with me to the most famous zoological garden in the world, in Sydney." I said, "Oh, yes, I want to see those kangaroos and the koala bears on the trees and all that sort of thing." He said, "Oh, that's nothing. That's nothing." But there is a cage with some birds which you have never seen anything like it, because they laugh. They laugh at you like human beings. They just mock themselves of you, you know. I was very curious to see that. So we made about 2 miles on foot, to get there. On the way down there, we saw those monkeys and all those things, and the lions and the giraffes and all the animals. It was rather war. Tigers. We arrived finally at the end of it, at that cage, and there what I saw was about 30 or 40 of those birds sitting like that. All black. Those were black, very long pieces like that. Never laughing at all. He said, "Ha ha ha ha." Nothing. He said, "Ha ha ha ha." Looked at him. He had a cough then. Nothing at all, you know. And then, after about 20 minutes of that, you know. It was long. We hear the signal for the public to leave the zoological garden because it was the end of the afternoon, you know. It was late. She was in despair. She said, and I told you that it was so wonderful. Well, we had to leave, you know. So we walked and walked and walked and walked. We reached quite a distance from that place. Suddenly I hear, he said, that's it, you know, and we can't see them. Oh, man. Well, I saw them without him. He's dead since, poor man. I hope not for that reason, you know, but I saw them and they laughed at me directly, you know. The minute they saw me coming, they laughed. The name Rubinstein is terribly common, like the name of Jones or Brown. My mother pretended that I even played before I was born, you know. You know, as a little boy I wouldn't talk. I didn't like to talk. I wanted to sing. I knew everything by a song. For instance, to get a piece of cheese, I was singing a theme of the Lancers because in Polish that means the cheese, the syllable, you know. So I said, la 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 la. My father, you see, had a textile factory, a little textile handloom factory, with some workers and so on, but he was not a businessman. He was a very poor businessman. He was inclined to be a philosopher, rather. He read books and studied languages and so on. Well, when he went bankrupt, he was honest. He paid all his debts, and so he didn't make a fortune on his bankruptcy like others did. So it disrupted the whole family. My sisters and brother had to go and live somewhere else, and that was very sad, really. When I was less than 4 years old, and I knew the pieces which my all elder sisters, which were then 18, 19, I don't know what, they played the piano very badly, and I knew their pieces. But knowing the pieces was not enough. My great pride was that I knew exactly when they turned the pages, and that was where I did that gesture, you see. And of course, the whole city knew about it, and Poland heard about it. I became quite a famous little boy at the age of 4. All the little pianists, famous pianists, and all the little violinists, and all the little cellists, and so on, they started like that, exactly the same way. And what about Mozart, my God? I was very lucky to have an uncle, a man who studied in Germany. He knew the German language and wrote very well. And he had a good idea to write to the great Professor Joachim, who was then the master of the world, a violinist, and who was the chief of the Academy of Music in Berlin. And Joachim answered, and that was a wonderful beginning for me. When my mother had the chance to take him to the man, I was 4 years old, he was very impressed, Joachim, but of course he hoped that I would be a violinist. So when I returned home, my father gave me a tiny little violin and a teacher and so on, but I hated it. I broke the violin in pieces. I was spanked for it. And I really couldn't ever stand to be a violinist, because for me, music was polyphony, was everything. I wanted to hear everything in music, and I'm the whole sound.
savez où nous sommes?
On s'est perdu
saviez
complètement. Il faudra quand même après essuyer ça parce que c'est molto polvere. Che le là. Ah, queste bassi sono i più, vero? Bassi.
Bisogna di controllare.
Là sono assez bien. Ma qui... On entend ça? Ça donne que ça n'est pas trop faible.
Non, pas du tout.
Tu sais,
Il y a des petites
c'est
mouches.
moins beau. Les
Ça,
petites
c'est moins
mouches
beau.
adorent les pianistes, vous savez.
Oui.
Absolument une passion. Moi, j'avais une petite mouche dans les salons où j'ai travaillé un peu ce matin. Pendant 1 heure, elle est entrée dans mon nez, dans mes oreilles.
La voilà,
elle
elle
m'a
t'a
caressé
suivi.
la joue. Et maintenant, elle est venue avec moi. Vous la voyez? Elle vient.
C'est une connaisseuse.
Dès que je commence, non, elle attend que je commence. Parce que autrement, ça la dérange, vous savez. Elle n'aime pas la main comme ça, elle n'aime pas ça.
Mais c'est très beau, vous savez, là-haut.
Il y a une vibration.
Oui, oui.
Ce qui manque, c'est les villages.
Ici, on sent que c'est pas encore. C'est beau. Tout ça. On va attraper chaque fausse note, n'est-ce pas? Tout.
Les bonnes et les mauvaises.
Et
Trouvé.
alors,
mouche est
qu'est-ce
là.
qu'on fait? Buono pianoforte, sì. Nuovo risponde. Ah, queste mosche sono terribili. Tutto il tempo, molte mosche. C'est affreux, vous savez. Là. Oh, que c'est affreux, ce mouche-là. C'est affreux, ça.
The March of Prokofiev tonight.
Yes. what I mean? This makes it alive. This makes it a song. One must play really what one feels with all one's heart. One has a real contact with the music. You must never touch any piece of music which is not yours, which doesn't talk to you. You must have a direct contact of love with the composer, with his work. One must be born with talent. That is the most important thing. You must be born with talent, and then you can only develop it, but there's nothing to learn. You can't learn talent. I get the sonority from somewhere, mostly from my heart. I use the pedal. I try to sing it out. I have it there. But how I do it, I really couldn't tell you. That's impossible. I didn't finish my studies. I left Berlin too early. And unfortunately, my parents were poor. My father lost his money and he couldn't do anything for me. I should have been sent really to Vienna, to Leschetizky, great master, or to Busoni, who was the greatest pianist at that time. I should have continued my studies, but instead they couldn't afford it. They didn't have the character to take hold of me. They let me be on my own, completely on my own, which was much too early. I was only 17 years old. And by some chance I came to Paris. In Paris, I don't know, people thought that I was already a finished genius by some joke, by some, I don't know, by some funny procedure, I don't know. I played to them something which was not quite that and so on. Well, they arranged a gala concert for me. The etude in A minor of Chopin, the most difficult etude, which I had no idea about. This one, you see. How it should sound, more or less. I don't say that it was perfect, but this is what it is. Then, at that Paris gala, I played the left hand, the theme was there, the same fire was there, but here, not one right note. There was not one single thing which was really there. Look. I had a tremendous success. They said, this is marvelous. What a rhythm, what a power, huh? Well, you know, I composed like every musical boy. I mean, I had talent for music, so I was composing innocently. I wrote a sketch for a concerto. Some sonata, I remember, then some songs, love songs, you know, which I showed off to some charming ladies and so on. But when I became 16, 15, like that, I discovered suddenly that I didn't have the right inspiration. It was not inspired. It was all borrowed from somebody, you know. It was a little Brahms, a little Chopin, a little Mozart, a little this and that and so on. It's not important. I think that to write music, it must be absolutely necessary. It must be there. It must be part of the world. I mean, you can't miss it anymore. For instance, I can miss very well some unknown island or some island which I see on the geographic card, but I can't imagine a world without Beethoven or without Mozart. You know, when I make music, It is so heavenly. I am in love with music. Actually, when I play, I make love. It is the same thing. Well, for instance, look. Unbearably beautiful. There is a word, a secret word, a strange word, the soul. The soul you find in every language. Everybody uses it easily. It's a term, a current term. And I never could make out what it really means. What is a soul? I questioned people. I mean, for instance, the great Mr. Einstein, the great mathematician, the inventor of the radium, Mrs. Curie. We spoke about it. They couldn't give me an answer, not a good answer in any case. Religions, all the religions use it very easily. It couldn't convince me at all. No, I don't know. I came to the point to believe that it is a power in us. I discovered at concerts sometimes that there is something in us which is a power, which has a hold on people, you know. This might be the soul, and the soul of all the humanity, of all of us together, might be at the base of the creation, who knows. That quintet of Schubert, which he wrote before he died, this is something which I love more than anything I can tell you. It went so far that I asked my wife to play it, even on a record, when I will be dying in some decent way, you know, I mean, in my bed. It is, you see, the entrance to heaven. I mean, Schubert wrote the music which gives the peace, the feeling of the nothing, of entering death, resigned and happy. Ça donne le rythme. Si je fais ça, ça n'est pas exact. C'est très curieux que dans un concerto de Beethoven que je vais jouer justement à Israël, je fais exactement la même chose. Mais le public n'y prête pas grande attention. Mais dans Faglia, c'était tellement connu, je voyais des gens demander à d'autres qui est ce monsieur-là qui a l'air curieux, enfin avec les cheveux comme ébouriffés, c'est pas enfin, montrant des doigts. C'est devenu le morceau que je crois m'a acheté cette maison. A human being is born without signing a contract. I always honor my signature. I have a great respect for a promise given, for my signed signature, absolutely. And I have never failed in this. I have never missed a concert in my whole life. Not through my fault, never. But we are born without signing a contract. So we are free and we own our life. And I have always respected this in my children. There were two couples, very much separated by age. My elder daughter is 35. And my son 34. And this one is 22 and her brother 21. The older ones quarreled like mad. All their lives, a real war, ferociously jealous. These two, marvelous. Yes, the two girls adore each other. So do the two brothers. My kid brother, that's the sort of stuff. Well, you know, he protects them. And they have learned, I think, my way of being happy. We went everywhere together. The two older ones, they know Latin America by heart, and the whole of Europe by heart, everything, everything. And the younger two, they have been with me in Hong Kong, Japan, Australia, and all over the world. This is nice. An artist, a friend of ours, gave us a triptych for the veranda of this house, and we enjoyed it. This is Montmartre on our wedding day. I bring my wife into the house. This is our second house in Paris. That was the Avenue Foch. Our first car, the nice Renault, and the children are already born. 2 children at least. Here we are already in New York, arriving on a little morning with those children already bigger. Carnegie Hall, where I had a full house already. That was wonderful. And my children went to school in New York. We had a house on 48th Street. And my wife looks at them, you know, when they are going to school. This is Brentwood in California. The arrival of my mother-in-law from exile. She was in Poland. We are very, very moved to see her again. It was a lovely moment, you know. And then we moved to the big house in Beverly Hills, just where the veranda was. You see, there's Paul, there's Johnny, this is Alina. And here's Eva. His elder brother was in New York. He was working for my company of records. Well, he should have promoted me, but being my son embarrassed him. So he pushed the records of other musicians. It's very, very funny. And I said to him, listen, you never published this thing about me. He said, look, Dad, I can't ask these things for you. I was very, very unhappy when I was 20 years old. You know, I was miserable. It was zero in my life. It was the bottom. I was finished completely, in my opinion. The woman I loved didn't love me. I had no money. I had horrible debts everywhere. I owed my money to the hotel. They wanted to throw me out. I mean, it was terrible, really. It happened in Berlin. Well, there was one thing. I was dreaming, funnily enough, that I was the richest man in the world, that I composed a symphony which had a fantastic success, you know. They applauded me and everything went wonderfully well and so on. Then I woke up. There was again a letter under the table, under the door. You owe me so much if you don't pay tonight, so and so on. I didn't know what to do. But then I wanted to kill myself, you see. I wanted to commit suicide. I didn't succeed. The cord which I put on my thing broke. I fell on the floor and so on. I mean, it was very tragic. But then after this, I was in a sort of, I was reborn, if I may say so. I was reborn again after having been dead. So I saw suddenly the world with completely new eyes. It was absolutely fresh and new to me. I saw that, what the devil am I unhappy for? Why should I be unhappy? One can be happy, miserable, one can be happy, sick, one can be happy in a hospital. Even if you die, you can be still happy if you are going to die, because it's life. It is still life, you see. I was convinced of that, and that kept me going. ¿Qué tal?
Dale la mano.
¿No quieres
Dale
dar?
la mano. Dale la manita, señor.
Qué simpáticas son. I respect very much the Spanish character. They never do anything or perform specially for foreigners. They live their own life and they let the others look on. And then comes your two. This is lovely. They would do it, but they never do that, and that makes me very sad, because it is so divine. orchestra always does the wrong thing because they play in the same mood, the same vein as I do, you know. But I have a little way. You see, I played really with full tone, almost forte, but with a soft pedal. The soft pedal makes it right away sound soft. It makes the impression that it is a piano, but it is still sonorous. It comes through. You can hear it clearly. You see what I mean? It sounds. It's a trick of mine that I don't like anybody to imitate it. Don't tell it anybody. Rather not, huh? Let's keep it to myself. Well, those are the things. But then, I played so many things lately, you know. I don't know. That is nice, I think. You see, it adds a little bit of something mysterious. It is very nice. Well, I will tell you quite frankly, I played that 40 years ago or more. And I used to have quite a success with it, you know. It was short and very, very good for it. But I always missed a little place because I didn't know the fingering very well. I messed it up always a little bit. But now I'm more clever, so I found the right fingering, and that goes. And then I learned to add something to my shame. I add a few bars more of that. It's very short. I make it. This was the thing, you see. That is a new fingering which always comes out. And then that finished brilliantly, you know. No. And there's that one's the great clack, you know. They love it and so on. Irresistible. You're from Baltimore?
Yeah, from Baltimore,
I've heard
and
you
you
there
played
many
there
times.
many times.
Of course.
Yes. Isn't that
Yes.
fascinating?
I'm
Well, you're a
glad to tell
very
you that.
fascinating person.
Well, I was
Thank
glad
you
to
so
have met
much.
you.
Great meeting you, and I hope we
You
see
like
you in
this
Baltimore.
place?
Yes.
Oh, love it.
Yes.
Love it.
And you've made
I
our
lived
day.
10
You've made our
years.
whole trip, I think.
Ah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Good luck
Oh,
to you.
good meeting you. Hope we see you in Baltimore.
I hope so.
American citizen during the Second World War, yes, when Poland was impossible. I mean, it couldn't protect me or my family anymore. You see, France offered me to become a French citizen because he knew that I always lived here. You know, I swore that I would never live anywhere but in Paris. When I was young, when I came to Paris first time. But I said that I don't like to be an honorary Frenchman. Well, in America, one isn't an honorary American because my kind are by the millions. We're helping to make America. I have the right to be an American. My name is not funny there. cela date le 21, je crois.
Oui, le 21, oui.
Oui. Je vous en prie.
Je vous remercie.
Ah, bon, tiens. On peut en avoir un
On
deuxième.
peut en avoir un second, s'il vous plaît?
Oh oui. Vous savez, je ne signe jamais après mes concerts, parce que là, il y a trop de jeunes gens. Vous savez, alors, je me fatigue tellement les bras que le lendemain, je ne peux plus jouer le piano. Et oui, parce que, vous savez,
C'est fatigant.
il y a des muscles que je n'emploie jamais au piano. Mais comme ça, c'est serré, alors ça me fatigue. Vous savez que j'ai été Montmartrois pendant 10 ans. J'habitais ici 15 rue Ravignan. C'est à côté, là. J'ai été de cette vie ici. J'adorais ça. Nous avons quitté ça en 38. 38, pas longtemps. Eh bien, ça m'a fait plaisir. Au revoir. Au revoir. Alors,
Non mais ici, regarde, franchement, et là la petite rue qui va à
Ah oui,
droite.
oui,
Ça,
oui,
c'est-
oui. Allons chez nous. Alors. Au revoir.
Ça va, Mathilde? C'est même plus agréable que l'Amérique. Mają szczęście, Shelby. Co to za kolorowe ludy? Ils ont coupé les arbres. Tu vas voir, tu sais. Ils ont coupé les arbres, je ne sais pas pourquoi. Tant qu'il va passer par ici.
Ils ne sont pas chez nous ici
Non,
encore.
non, non, non.
Pas du tout.
C'est beaucoup plus bas. Comme ils ont nettoyé tout ça, c'est tout à fait... Tout n'a
Faut
l'air.
attraper la rue Gabriel. Celle-là et encore une fois.
C'est là et à droite.
Ah non, non, non. ça,
Non,
c'est-
chérie, ça c'est le moulin.
Oui, oui.
Et ça maintenant à
Celle-là,
gauche
oui.
et à droite.
Ça, c'est le bateau Lavoir en face. Et ce grand arbre-là, c'est notre arbre. Ça n'a pas changé du tout depuis ce temps-là. Madame, je suis... Oh là là. Non, il n'est pas méchant, c'est pas grave. Je suis monsieur Rubinstein qui habitait.
Ah oui, j'ai
10 ans
entendu parler
ici.
de vous, oui.
Il y a ici une équipe qui fait un film de moi. Un film de moi, vous
Est-ce
savez.
qu'on peut voir la maison? Je veux
Mais
dire,
non, c'est vendu en copropriété. Il faudrait que vous alliez en bas chez Monsieur Dillard.
est-ce qu'il est là?
En bas, dans la rue d'Orchamps, la première rue à droite, là. Alors vous allez trouver...
Ça c'est permis, on ne peut pas ouvrir la porte?
Non, je ne suis pas concierge.
Ah voilà. Oui, c'est la même. Mais il faut aller par l'autre rue, par
Il
l'autre
y a
entrée.
toujours encore la pièce d'eau.
Oui,
Il y a toujours encore la petite pièce d'eau.
tout à fait la même chose.
Et le pavillon, dans la rue d'Orchamps, là, aux deux.
Oui,
Allez voir l'employé de Monsieur Dillard. Il vous permettra peut-être de rentrer dans le jardin.
Bien sûr,
Oui.
on va voir.
bien,
Je
madame.
viens de me lever, j'étais en train de...
Vous êtes très bien.
Nous avions 5 arbres. Our house is lovely, lovely. It's imagine the neighbor house of where Debussy lived and died.
Bon, c'est peut-être quelque chose
Regardez.
de là.
You think you might have
Mon
planted it?
pommier.
Ah.
C'est extraordinaire, non? Ah, moi j'adore ça, mais ça me touche beaucoup.
C'est quoi? Vous entendez?
Ach, Charlène.
Vous savez, il ressemble à Kisling tellement.
Notre grand
C'est
ami.
comme que ça m'a donné un choc.
Oui, oui, tout à fait la même
Si
chose.
je pouvais se retrouver.
La démarche même la même.
Tout, tu sais, monsieur. Comme un revenant. Tu as cet
lui
œil
fait,
comme
oui.
ça, ironique.
Tout à fait.
Tout à fait. Ah, ce Kiki. Voilà qui devrait être avec nous. Quelle valeur qu'ils sont tous morts comme ça.
When I was very young, I spent the summer with some Polish friends in Switzerland. There was a young Argentine lady, very distinguished, who was consumptive. She used to sing in a charming voice, those touching voices of the Argentine when they sing a tango. It was very, very moving. She accompanied herself on the guitar, and that was the first tango I ever heard. It brought tears into my eyes to see this beautiful young woman with her lovely black eyes to sing that very sad tango. Oh, si c'est joli, c'est touchant. Toujours la note triste. C'est joli. Il y avait un qui me rappelait Beethoven. Plus Beethoven. C'est drôle parce que c'est tout à fait un commencement d'une sonate de Beethoven. Ça, c'est extraordinaire. Très joli. Il y a plus le tango canaille. Ah, ce sont des choses. Non, tu... But this difference, you prepare, yes, agitato, and
Yes,
then...
yeah.
It's a great deep emotion here. My whole family, at least 100 persons of my family, were killed in cold blood by Hitler. They've all perished. My father was dreaming. He had a sort of mad dream that one day Jews could live on their own land. And I inherited this feeling from him and his hope. I really feel very humble and at the same time immensely proud that I was fortunate enough to be able to see this realized for him. And for me, to see this thing, it always brings tears to my eyes. I cannot talk about this too much. When there was this danger the last time, my wife, who was born a Catholic, wanted to leave with me. She wanted to come with me here and die here with them. And the Arabs were going to attack. We were absolutely set on doing that. We didn't want to stay in Europe. We wanted to come here and share their lot, and that's all. Fortunately, it took them only 6 days to liberate us from this idea. I myself never had to suffer from any sort of anti-Jewish feeling or any anti-Polish feeling. We had a Polish chambermaid who loved us terribly, both of us. What a pity you are Jewish, because you have killed Jesus Christ and you are such nice people, you are good really. And that is how the illiterate people feel about it. But I personally, I was always received among the Polish people like a brother. And the man who helped most my career was a Prince Lubomirski, one of the greatest Polish families, who has done some marvelous things for me, who spent a real fortune to launch me. And this, look at this. And there, here, look at this. These are all orange trees. Orange trees, lemon trees, grapefruit, marvelous. They searched, they pulled the stones out of their bare hands, and there were lawyers and doctors and men who were doing that. And engineers, they loved this land, it's something sacred for them. a small boy, I absolutely wanted to see God. But of course nothing appeared. And I became a bit impatient then. Well, I began to say nasty things to God. And imagine, I was horribly frightened. There might be some lightning or earthquake or what. But nothing happened. Then I found my deep love for Christ. He alone has given the soul to humanity. But I never could accept him as a God. For me, he's the very essence of man, and that is much more of a merit, much more touching, moving. I say much closer to us. He is the excuse for our wickedness.
Once more before the cadenza.
Bonjour les amis.
Français? Ouais.
Français.
Ça va bien. Comment ça va?
Ça va très bien, merci. Et toi?
Comment ça va?
Ça va bien. Voilà, maintenant je vais aller là-bas. Moi je vais à Jérusalem pour jouer le piano. Ils ont de la vitalité ces garçons. Après je vais à Tel Aviv donner 4 concerts. Si vous pouvez, un jour, venez entendre. I feel terribly moved, bottom of my heart. You know, I represent here really my poor father, whose dream it was to come here. His dream was to see a free Jerusalem, with the Jews home again, to see that wall here and so on. And he died without any hopes at all. There was not even a beginning of any hope of anything before the First World War. Well, I feel like representing him. I feel that I took it over somehow. To be Jewish, for me personally, it is to be the proudest man in the world, because I think it is a race who through the sufferings has always succeeded in raising their heads and showing the world that as small race as they are in numbers, they've always been in the first rank in spite of persecutions, in spite of anything. Nobody could beat their spirit, and I am one of them. I will not let them.
Now I will play you the great Polonaise of Chopin, you know, the A-flat, which is very popular and very well known and a great showpiece if you want to, but it is really the expression of pride, of courage, that's what Israel has shown lately, pride of one's own country, of one's own being, you know. Chopin showed that in exile far away from Poland, you know, and he said, Russia, nobody will kill me. In one Polonaise, I will kill them.
Czy są kompozytorzy, których utworów pan grywał dużo i teraz pan już nie gra, mimo tego, że pan bardzo lubi ich utwory?
Ja mogę odpowiedzieć na to bardzo dobrze. La question de mon ami polonais ici a été très intelligente. Il m'a demandé s'il y a des compositeurs que j'ai aimés, que je ne joue plus ou que je n'aime plus. Et c'est vrai, ça nous arrive à tous. Moi j'appelais toujours ma passion pour Wagner au commencement une Wagneritis, n'est-ce pas? C'était presque une maladie. J'étais absolument plein de sa musique. Je voulais souper avec des chanteurs de Wagner, écouter du Wagner, jouer au piano, les partitions et tout cela. Mais après, ça m'a passé tout d'un coup et ça a tourné presque à la haine. Brahms, c'est le compositeur
que j'aimais le premier, enfin, qui était le premier que j'ai aimé à l'âge de 7 ans. Et voilà, par exemple, je voudrais m'en débarrasser, mais je ne peux pas. Quand j'entends du Brahms, c'est de nouveau une satisfaction profonde, l'amour, le même amour. Il est à côté de moi. Chopin est venu beaucoup plus tard, et il dure, mon Dieu. Les grands durent, et surtout Mozart. I wish you luck in your careers if you want to become musicians from all my heart. Good luck. It's a very hard career, you know, not easy at all. But I wish you very, very much luck in everything you undertake in music.
Ministre Phelps.
Quoi?
De la santé
publique. De la santé. Écoutez,
très heureux.
Elle est un peu comme ça, tout simplement, un rhume. Non, non, non. Oh, please, no, not, no, no. No, signature, I sign only checks. Ah oui, oui. Oh, vous avez la lumière, mais m'aveugle complètement.
I'm so happy to see you.
I am terribly happy to see you. Very. How nice. How are you?
Fine.
Well, I'm very happy and very proud that you came.